Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back. Let's get into it.
It's been a year since the worst racist riots the UK has seen in recent memory. And now, scenes like this are unfolding again. And extremism watchdog Hope Not Hate fears that even more anti-migrant protests and disorder might come this summer. So what can be done to prevent an escalation? We spoke to Kelly Fowler, who works on cohesion and integration in UK society, and published a report with recommendations to the government right after the riots in 2024.
All too often, the action only takes place after a shock or a crisis event, as we saw last summer. We need to see longer term thinking and strategic investment in this work. It cannot be a case of waiting for more riots to take place.
So what happened this year? It all started earlier in July when an asylum seeker in Epping was charged with 3 counts of sexual assault, including kissing a 14-year-old girl, which he denies. Local protests took place in front of the hotel which houses him and other asylum seekers. What started as peaceful demonstrations turned into violent confrontations.
What has been unacceptable has been the people who have come to Epping and committed violence, who have attacked people who work at the hotel, who have attacked officers, who have damaged property, and who have caused fear and disruption to the people of Epping. That is not tolerable.
There's a strong presence of individuals from known far-right groups who have been orchestrating some of this activity online and have encouraged people to go along.
Unrest has spread to other locations in the UK, with counter-demonstrations also taking place. All this strongly resembles the situation last year, when the murder of 3 young girls triggered violence and disorder in over 20 locations. False information about the attacker being an immigrant circulated on social media. Far-right mobs targeted mosques and hotels housing asylum seekers. Hope Not Hate identifies a pattern. The events in Epping are a symptom of a recurring trend within the far-right, co-opting the high emotions of local people to whip up hatred. The far-right demonize and vilify all migrants, including the other innocent residents at the hotel, creating a climate of hatred and hatred locally. Sadly, violence is the result. The far-right is seeking to sow division in the local area, which does nothing to assist the victims of sexual abuse. The UK government now reportedly plans for a special unit to monitor social media for anti-migrant posts, but experts say more is needed.
We need to see that asylum and refugee accommodation does not just become a focus for community grievances and extremist violence, and that means addressing those local pressure points and promoting integration.
Fowler says authorities need to listen to people's needs and act accordingly. A key factor here is strong local leadership from councils. They can offer employment support to tackle poverty, for example. The government commissioned Belong to work with local authorities and communities. What they observed is that places that have a stronger sense of community tend to be more resistant towards outside influence, according to Fowler.
I think that what has happened in places like Epping are very specific incidents. Some places that we go in the UK, it would be unlikely that we would see those sorts of levels of unrest, because actually at a local level the authorities have been really proactive, as have civil society organisations.
Last year, Belong presented a report with 12 concrete measures to build that cohesion and prevent unrest. But so far, the official strategy has prioritised policing over prevention, leaving underlying tensions in society to fester, according to experts.
Is there a risk of widespread unrest? Of course, we don't have a crystal ball, and of course there's always a possibility of that. But I think there's a difference between people being vigilant and people jumping to violence and disorder, and the signs at the moment show that actually the UK public by and large are a bit more discerning, and hopefully in spite of some serious provocation.
I'd like to add a little comment and say that, yes, immigration is all-time high, but the thing is that, the West, UK, the NATO, all those people, they've been attacking, or supplying arms to Israel or other nations, they're attacking other countries. Obviously, the people are going to flee. What country they're looking for fleeing is that they're going to flee to countries that who are bombing them. America, Canada, UK, any of those countries, because they're the one who's helping uh, the Israelis. You know, you know, and if, even Africa, for example. What was I gonna say? You know how there are people that who are creating wars. Those people are gonna find safe havens, which in Western Korea apparently is safe, but they have an advantage as well. You could say the way of life is more advanced. You could say that they have you can earn more money. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, so I don't know how else I can describe it. You know, if you don't want people from, let's say, Palestinians here, for example, don't supply arms. You know, don't go over there and create problems. Because if you don't sanction Israel, for example, you know, the people of Palestine, they're gonna flee to other countries. They might even come to Western countries. You know, I hope you get understand my message.
People are standing strong in the face of that.
This morning, trucks carrying fuel and food could be seen entering Gaza from Egypt, a week after Israel eased its blockade. But Palestinians are still so hungry that they're risking death by walking to Israeli-controlled distribution centres. Eyewitnesses and hospital officials say 27 were shot by Israeli troops today near several aid sites, and those making this journey know just how dangerous it is.
We are collecting pasta from the ground to feed our children, and we can't do more than that. I travelled at 4 o'clock this morning, but because of the heavy gunfire, we were unable to go any further.
And despite these aid drops, Gaza's health ministry says 6 adults have died of malnutrition in the past 24 hours. But 14-year-old Mossab al-Dibs is clinging to life, first paralysed by an Israeli airstrike, then losing 30 kilos due to a shortage of nutrient formula, which he needs to be fed by tube. In a Gaza tunnel, this is a starving Evyatar David, crossing off the days as one of 20 or so living hostages still held by Hamas. His family approved publication of a Hamas video, which they described as showing a living skeleton buried alive. This afternoon, Israel's Prime Minister said he had requested Red Cross access to the hostages. In a tweet, he said Hamas had spread a lie of starvation when the reality was that systematic starvation was carried out by Hamas in images which he said recall the crimes of the Nazis. President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, met hostage families yesterday amid a toughening of America's position against Hamas. No more piecemeal deals, he told the families, instead seeking a comprehensive ceasefire which would see all the hostages released. But for Israel's National Security Minister, that's not enough. Today, Itamar Ben-Gvir caused outrage in Arab capitals after he said he had prayed outside Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque, known to Jews as the Temple Mount, on a site administered by the Jordanians, where Israel has no sovereignty. We should conquer the whole of the Gaza Strip, he said, kill all of Hamas and encourage voluntary emigration. Only this way, he said, will we return
You
the hostages.
know, Israeli, they would have had an intention. It wasn't about October 7th, about Hamas. It's about taking all this land, you know, and starving this whole people. If we look at the early interviews that Netanyahu did, or statements he said, is that the people are Amalek. You know, if you looked in the Bible or the Talmud, it says kill the cattle, women, kids, children, all of them. You know, it's a genocide. You know, what can you say? Stop arming them. You know, give your support to the Palestinian cause.
And win the war.
I stand before you today as a brother and as a son. A brother and a son whose heart is being torn apart, watching helplessly as my younger brother, Evyatar David, and his fellow hostage, Guy Gilboa Dalal, slip away. They are on the absolute brink of death.
הבן שלי ושאר החטופים משלמים את המחיר. אדוני ראש הממשלה, אתה המנהיג, ומנהיג צריך לקבל החלטות, אז קח כבר את ההחלטה, תסיים את המלחמה ותביא לכאן את כולם.
You know, the images are horrible. You know, the people are there. If you stop the aid coming in, how's the hostages are gonna be fed? You're basically killing your own people. You know, if you look into a Hannibal directory, when October 7th occurred, Israeli IDF soldiers they shoot at their own people. Well, from getting captured by Hamas. You know, what can you say? Obviously, it's a terrorist act, and the Israeli who are occupying the land, they're also terrorists.
The Ukrainian military said it has struck a range of sites inside Russia over the weekend as the two sides traded blows. Russian officials confirmed that Ukrainian drones had struck an oil depot near Russia's Black Sea resort of Sochi, sparking a major fire in which 120 firefighters were called, forcing the temporary closure of the local airport. Further east in Russia's Samara region, a camera caught the moment that a drone struck near an oil refinery, causing a major explosion. In southern Ukraine, a Russian missile strike hit a residential area in the city of Mykolaiv, wounding 7 people. The attacks come after Ukrainian authorities announced on Saturday that they had arrested several politicians in a major corruption scheme over the procurement of drones.
Anti-corruption agencies have exposed a lawmaker from the Ukrainian parliament, along with heads of district and city administrations and National Guard service members, for bribery. Unfortunately, these corruption schemes involve the procurement of electronic warfare systems and drones. This is absolutely immoral. There must be full...
Yes, another end of times occurrence. You know, there's another war after another war. You know, it's getting closer to World War III. You know, if Russia gets, you know, agitated more by the US or NATO, the supplying Ukraine with arms and weapons, most likely there will be an escalation in this. And obviously, you have to look into consideration that China and the global south might get involved as well, which is never. There are no winners in war. Only a lot of suffering. You know, yes, and one might win, but at what cost? That's why I say there's no winners.
and fair accountability for this.
عمره 16 سنة أحمد فارة استشهد وهو رايح يجيب طحين من السريم من مصايد الموت مصايد المصايد والفخوخ اللي بحطوها راحوا بس يتمنظروا امبارح قدام المبعوث الأمريكي وينظموا السير وينظموا المعونات ويسلموا الناس بأدب يروح يشوفوا مالات، يجي ويذكر في جهان، يجي ويشوف ايش بصير في اولادنا، يجي على المستشفيات يشوف المرضى المرميين على الارض، مش ملاقيين لهم اسره يناموا عليها، ولا ملاقيين علاج، ولا ملاقيين بلاتين، ولا ملاقيين حتى مخدر يخدروهم، ولا ملاقيين اي حاجه يحطوا لهم اياها. يشوفوا الناس اللي بتموت من الجوع.
Alright guys, I'm ending the video there. As you can see, the Palestinian boys carrying food. It's like day in, day out, you know. You see sometimes TikTok videos of people, don't skip my videos or you kill me and stuff like this. Now I know it gets a bit annoying, or not annoying, but get frustrating, or keep seeing these images over and over. But do help or leave a comment behind. Just give a little helping hand. Whatever you can do, and repost. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video there. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.